Good evening, my extended family. Good evening. It is Thursday, July 2nd, 2020, the official middle of the year. Today's the official middle of the year. That's something. I hope you all had a good night's sleep last night and that the day went well for you today. Thanks again for letting me spend a few minutes with you this evening. I appreciate every one of you. I really do. I mean that every time I say it. You're quite special to me. I like to start by reminding each and every one of you that you are simply wonderful right where you are. Whatever you're going through, we're with you. You're not alone. Like I've said before, if you have a prayer request, let us know. We've got a group of women that have a prayer group, and they would be more than happy to put your prayer request in. So don't hesitate. It's happy birthday time. I made a mistake yesterday by announcing that there were no birthdays. Boy, did I make a mistake. There were birthdays indeed. My nephew Ethan celebrated a birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, Ethan. The new car in your driveway is from Uncle Paulie. Enjoy it. Nurse Leonora from work celebrated a birthday. Happy birthday, Nurse Leonora. I hope that you're out kayaking. Today is Nancy's birthday. Happy birthday, Nancy. I know Nancy from where I used to work years ago and on Facebook. So happy birthday, Nancy. Hope I haven't missed anybody. And if you have somebody that you'd like me to announce it's their birthday, please send me a note. I'd be glad to do it. All right, let's get ready to travel. Every night we travel to a different state, and tonight is no exception. So once again, I need you to put on your little kid imagination. Don't ever lose that. Tonight's show is coming from a state that was established way back in 1796. There are more species of trees in this state than any other state. A city here is the home of the longest running radio program in the world, and that is the Grand Ole Opry. This state is known as the energy capital of the world. I did not know that. The state comes from an old Indian word. The name of the state comes from an old Indian word meaning the meeting place. The Great Smoky Mountains are here. Graceland is here. Remember Elvis? Funny law is still on the books in towns of this state. I'm not quite sure if they are still enforced, but here they are anyway. Number one, you cannot sell a hollow log in this state. No hollow logs for sale. You may not carry a skunk across the state line. I can see not being able to bring one in, but you can't even bring one out. Not across the state line. In one city here, a woman cannot call a man and ask for a date. I'm sure they figured out some sort of code word for this. You cannot shoot a whale while inside your car. How the whale got in my car, I'll never know. But no shooting a whale while inside your car. And I don't know where they're going to find a whale in this state. Spitting on the sidewalk is illegal, and I would say quite nasty, so that's a good law. Minors may not be tattooed. It is completely legal to pick up roadkill in this state, take it home, cook it, and eat it. If you invite me over, please tell me, though, that it's roadkill. I'd like to know that. You cannot sing It Ain't Gonna Rain No More in this state, and I'm not going to sing it here. You may not share your Netflix password. That makes sense. No lassoing fish. Never thought of that. I can't catch one with a hook and a worm, never mind lassoing one. You can't drive while you're asleep. Okay. The state insect is the honeybee. The state fruit is the tomato. And remember, no E at the end of tomato. The state flower is the iris. The state birds, there's two. The northern mockingbird and the northern bobwhite. The state tree is the tulip tree, just like Kentucky from last night. The state's motto is agriculture and commerce, but the slogan is America at its best. I like that, America at its best. The nickname of the state is the Volunteer State. I bet you know where we are now. This nickname came about because of the amount of volunteer soldiers, 1,500 strong, sent to the War of 1812. The capital of this state is Nashville, and yes, we are in Tennessee. Tennessee. Tim, I think you live in Tennessee, so if you watch the show, give me a shout out. On this day in history, 1776, the Continental Congress adopts a resolution severing ties with King George and Great Britain. In 1823, Brazil declares its independence from monarch rule. 1900, the first Zeppelin takes place in Germany. The first Zeppelin flight takes place in Germany. 1926, the United States established the Army Air Corps. 1928, the first television broadcasting station goes live in the United States. 1937, Amelia Earhart disappears over the Central Pacific. 1934, Adolf Hitler ends his purge of 3 days by having 700 to 1,000 of his opponents killed and confirming his supremacy. It was called the Night of the Long Knives. It would do us well to remember that this was less than 100 years ago, just 86 years ago. There's people alive today that remember the beginning of Hitler's horrible reign. We've got to make sure something like that never happens again. 1964, President Johnson signs into law a sweeping civil rights bill. Today is National I Forgot Day. I like that. It's so nice to know that there's a day in honor of me, or forgetfulness. The word of the day, iteration. This is the process of going over and over something repeatedly, like checking your clock at night to make sure that the alarm has been set. Iteration. I truly try not to do that on my show. Tell me if I do, but please wait until it's National I Forgot Day. I try not to go over and over the same thing on my show. Oh, I forgot. Today is I Forgot Day, National I Forgot Day. So if I'm doing it, feel free to let me know. The character trait for the month of July is loyalty. I like that, loyalty, which is the quality of being supportive and at times giving allegiance. Many times we show loyalty to a friend or to a job, but usually our loyalty is for something that we believe in, a way of life. I have to take a moment to say that for the moment, we as Americans have appeared to seriously lost our way of life. Democracy deserves our loyalty and allegiance. I need to see more of that. Freedom and justice for all deserves our allegiance. Anarchy and the loss of democracy, the loss of our rights, which has happened in many places around the world. And believe me when I say it could be knocking on our door, right on our doorstep this very moment to get in and take over. We all have to ask ourselves, where does my allegiance lie? We have to decide. There is no time for sitting in the corner and hoping for the best. 2 days after an assassination attempt on Bob Marley's life and his wife's life, he performed. When people asked him, why are you performing today? It was just a couple days ago that somebody tried to take your life. And Bob Marley replied, the people who are trying to make this world worse aren't taking a day off. How can I? Well, that holds very true today. We cannot take the day off. The two factions that are battling right here, right now in the United States of America are not what the media and the politicians want us to believe. Believe me when I tell you that the battle is between our democracy and all the freedoms that come with it as Americans and those who would end democracy as we know it, taking away our freedoms by simply not protecting them. That's happening now. That's the role of government, to ensure our liberties that come from our Creator. Our rights come from our Creator. The government is there to protect it, to ensure our rights. They don't give us our rights. Just look around at the leaders who are not protecting our freedoms and in some cases the safety of their citizens. Someone wrote the other day, if we don't act, 2% of the population are about to control the other 98%. So wake your ass up and get your head in the game before it's too late and we don't have a country left. I'm not going to identify the author, as I don't want to sway your thoughtful decision on how you feel about what I just read. We can disagree about anything in our country except the one thing that is our country, and that is our democracy. Democracy must not be up for debate. It's not for sale, it's not up for debate. And that's not coming from any pundit or media outlet or politician. That's coming from me. I'm the author of that. So when you see statues being torn down the way that they're being torn down, that's not democracy. Take a vote and then act accordingly. If there's a statue that's up there, let's decide this reasonably, what we're going to do and what should happen. You don't just tear it down. That's anarchy. When you see stores and neighborhoods being destroyed, that's not democracy. When you hear that statues portraying a Jesus and statues of a Mary that do not conform to their ideology of what they think Jesus and Mary should look like need to be torn down, that's not democracy. I remember the first time I saw a statue of Our Lady of Guadalupe, Mexico. Our Lady of Guadalupe, where in my religion, it teaches us that she appeared to a 57-year-old Aztec Indian. It was the first time that I had ever seen a statue of Mary that looked different from all the statues of Mary that I had ever seen. I asked my dad, and he taught me whenever Mary appears in the world, she would look like she is from that country, because she is the loving, holy mother of all people. I was 5 years old, and I understood that. I understood what he was saying at 5 years old. I was asked by my wonderful religion teacher many years later at St. Bernard's if it would bother me to know Jesus didn't have my skin color. My answer surprised her. I asked, is Jesus still my Savior? Is he going to get me into heaven? And she responded, of course Jesus is still going to get you into heaven. And I responded, then no, it doesn't bother me what color he is. When our Jewish neighbors are subjected to violence because of their faith, this is not democracy. When somebody is treated poorly because of their color of the skin, this is not democracy. When you see that the police are unable to get into a community to help our families because of armed would-be assassins blocking them, this is not democracy. When a family does not have the right of school choice to send their children to a public school of their choice, this is not democracy. We get to choose. That's democracy. These are the actions of anarchists and fascists. Remember fascism, Hitler, Mussolini, Franco, and Juan Perón, all of the 20th century. So we're not going way, way back. That's the 1900s, not too long ago. It demands the forcible oppression of its subjects and doesn't allow for any opinions that go against the state. Look around the halls of Congress in D.C. right now, and just look at the faces that could possibly be the next fascist leader that would and are allowing anarchy across America for their immediate political gain right now. Every political leader, every church leader, every business leader, every voter, we should be speaking out against the acts of injustice to all citizens, as well as speaking out against the recent behaviors of the 2%. And I'm afraid it's more than 2%. And I'm convinced that some of our leaders, as I said, are using it for their political gain. I want to hear rhetoric and see action that promotes our democracy. It's beautiful. Just promote the democracy. I told a story yesterday that on my cigar walk the other night, I found myself staring at a Nazi flag that was being used in a window. Somebody was using it as a curtain. Within a minute, I'd say, a man came out and asked me very sternly what I was doing. I told him that I was looking at his Nazi flag. He asked if it offended me and if I wanted it down. I said, I would rather you changed your thinking, but seeing it reminds me of what once was and what could be again, and that I need to make sure I stand guard to make sure that it never happens again. I'm asking you to be alert and stand guard. Register to vote if you haven't already. Know what you're voting for and who you're voting for. Check their voting records of the past. Some of our politicians would like their voting records to be torn down and lost like so many statues. But there's a history of their voting records. We can look at it on both parties. History, good and bad, needs to be remembered so that we don't ever allow the bad to happen again. Believe me when I say this presidential election is not about President Trump and Mr. Biden. It's much more than that. It's about our way of life. Democracy here in the United States is still in its infancy. It's only 244 years old, and it can be toppled as it has in so many other countries. This cannot be allowed. Own your vote. Take responsibility for everything that comes after your vote. You can't take it back. You can't have buyer's remorse and take your vote back to a customer service desk like at Walmart, taking back underwear that doesn't fit. The United States and its democracy is ours to keep or give away. Let's keep it by being on guard and with informed voting. I was told of a sign right here in town that reads, "They gave us rights because we gave them riots." And on the back it was written, "Revolution now." Is this really what we want to teach our children? I've worked with children, as I've said before, for over 40 years, and we've never promoted riots. We never displayed riots. But we didn't leave the children empty-handed without a way to have their beautiful voices heard. Just take a look at how all children of all backgrounds come out of the womb. They are not born with hate for others or themselves. We need to do better in teaching the beauty of self-worth, democracy, liberty, and justice for all to all of our children. And we better get with it, because some of our beautiful children are lost. Again, look no further than the people who are supposed to be representing all of us in Washington and in our state capitals. I swear we have a bunch of lost children who have become lost grown-ups, who are now our leaders. I want God put back into our public school. Whose God? My God, your God. Whoever you believe created you out of generous love, because following a loving, forgiving, understanding, generous creator will put this country back on the right path. And there is no fighting over whose God is better. That won't be allowed. Whose God is better? No, we're not even going to talk about that. There's one creator. Call your creator what you want, but I like to say to people, if a creator does exist, and I believe that one does, that creator has to be love, kind, understanding, and just, and desires that we find a way to coexist with each other, or that creator would lose their creatorship, if you will. Well, anyway, thanks for giving me 3 hours of your time tonight. It's just that loving, nurturing, forgiving, understanding for all in our democracy is just that important to me. And I have to believe that it's just that important to you as well. I'd like to end with a passage from my Bible, if that's all right. The passage is from the Gospel of John. Whoever claims to love God yet hates his brother or sister is a liar. For whoever does not love their brother and sister whom they have seen cannot possibly love God. And I shouldn't have had possibly, because that's not in there. Cannot love God whom they have not seen. Well, that's the end of the show tonight. If you're looking for me tonight, I'll be found walking a path high up in the Great Smoky Mountains with my cigar. It's going to be a long walk, so I think I'll pack a midnight snack for two just in case you show up. So until we meet again, let us all have a blessed, peaceful night. Again, and as always, you are truly and quite special. The world would not be the same without you. So don't even think of leaving. The world, and especially the people right around you, need you, and that's a good thing. So let's be kind and loving to one another. Good night, and may God bless.